Hello everybody. Today we're going to be doing a restock of one of my more popular soaps, but I'm actually going to give it quite a facelift. It's our special Brownies soap, which is a mix of some natural hemp seed oil with some natural unrefined cocoa butter as well. Now the way I did this soap before, it was just a plain white bar. There wasn't anything going along with it, and it was just kind of boring. It had the scent and the additives, the super fatting, but that was it. I got this really kind of neat little pot leaf mold, and I colored my batter separately. For my marijuana fragrance, I have green, and then for my brownie fragrance, I have some brown. I'm going to do some different pours and a spin swirl to get a really cool technique, and then I'm going to frost it with some leftover brown soap batter and put a little pot leaf on top of each one. Right now I'm going to, I'll get this out of the way so you can see, I'm going to pour each of my little green pot leaves and plop these in the freezer after I'm done so they firm up in time to put them on my soap while it's still kind of soft. So even though they won't be fully set, they will be hopefully frozen, just enough to get them out of the molds. It wasn't until recently where I really started to get fancy with my soaping. It used to just be, you know, I'd never wanted to make a soap that was too pretty for someone to use. Now I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? I want to make pretty soaps, and if people don't use them, that's their own loss, because these are amazing for your skin. As usual, it's pure olive oil with the super fat that we're working with today. Alright, so when we're done with our spin swirl, pop that in the freezer while I work on the frosting. Put this here, make sure you're in my field of view, and you are. I'm going to pour in a couple of different areas and then layer with my brown batter. Do one here, here, and then a little guy there. Got a really nice consistency with this batter today. I'm sure it'll thicken up by the time I'm done, but that's okay. Never done a spin swirl, but I think it would be good because we're going to get 9 bars at the end of this. I just have to remember at the end to save just a little bit of my brown so I can whip it up for some frosting. I've got my piping bag ready for that too. One thing that I found is very important with soaping is mise en place. It's a cooking term. In French, it means things in place. When you're cooking, it's very important to have all of your stuff ready before you get started so you don't realize halfway through that you don't have something ready to go. So we're going to make sure we have everything ready to go. So I had everything ready. All I got to do is make the soap. It smells really good. The fudge brownie is definitely standing out right now. But my marijuana fragrance is also very potent. My supplier kind of cracks me up. They say under this marijuana fragrance oil, don't ask us how we know what marijuana smells like, and we won't ask how you know what marijuana smells like. Touche. Since I made this soap the first time, Stoner Gifts is a top search item for me in my Etsy shop. Every single week, it's at the very top. People are looking for gifts for their stoner friends. But with my soap being so boring looking before, it didn't have anything that stood out about it. I'm hoping that this draws a little bit more attention and it sells out faster. One lady actually contacted me and she said, you know, I wish this looked like a brownie because I want to give this to a person who accidentally ate a pot brownie once and it's been an ongoing joke with us. So if it looked like a brownie, maybe we could convince her to bite into it again. And because mine just looked like a plain off-white bar of soap, she did not buy it, so that kind of bummed me out. You live and learn. My pores are coming along nicely here. When we spin it, it's going to look pretty cool. It's very tedious to pour in each little spot layering here, but the effects are worth it. It smells really good. Makes me want to make some brownies. I keep rotating this back and forth because my table, I'm working on an antique table up in my stock area right now, and it's not even. Still in the process of getting my little warehouse set up downstairs. It's a slow going process. Gotta get the walls finished. So until then, I'm soaping where I can. You do what you gotta do. I don't want my soap to be thick on one side and thin on the other. I'll end up putting it someplace completely different to set up because it can't be tilted while it's setting up. That would be bad. We're starting to get thicker with the pores here, which is good. Excited for my spinning swirl too. I think that could really give a cool kind of a look. To color this too, I'm just using some oxide pigments instead of micas. I don't have a big supply of mica right now, just a couple sample baggies. The place I used to get my mica from doesn't sell bulk mica anymore. So I'm going to use up what I have, and then there's a couple other places that I've used before I'm going to be restocking with. All right, and you can see we're starting to get thick. It's more laying on top instead of going down in. Probably pour from a little higher to get it to go inside. There we go. If you want your pores to go within the soap instead of laying on top of the soap, you got to give it a little bit of force, let the gravity work for you. Pour at a higher level and it'll go into it instead of kind of spread out on the top. I'm going to do a tiny bit more, one more brown, and then pour my rest of my green because I need to save the rest of this brown for my frosting. I'm just going to do a little bit of brown here because I don't need a lot of frosting. Enough for 9 little bloops on top. Alrighty. Use up the rest of the green. Alright. Get my spatula to get out the rest of this. We do not want to waste any of this goodness. And because it's super fatted with the hemp seed oil and the natural cocoa butter, it's really a nice bar to use. I always super fat my olive oil soap. Now we're going to spin. Tap out some bubbles, rotate, and in the spinning swirl you just kind of zhuzh, and it slops around inside. This is actually pretty fun. You know, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to go the other way. My middle guy didn't get a lot of spinning. I've noticed that with spinning swirls. You're getting the edges moving, the middle not so much. So that's just how it goes. Got a little bit of chocolate batter left. I'm going to, there's not that much, but we should have just enough. I don't like having extra frosting because I want to be able to still see this top of the soap. The frosting is really just to make it look more like a brownie. Move this out of the way for now. I'm going to just whip this up so it gets thicker. My stick blender doesn't have much area to work with here, but I just want it to get nice and thick so it holds its shape when I pipe it. Holding its shape enough where I think it's good to pipe. I don't want it to be too hard because then it's not going to pipe out easily, and that's a pain in the behind. Alrighty. Got my pastry bag ready here. I use these disposable ones because it's really a pain in the butt to try to clean a cloth one and it's all covered lye. Might as well throw it out. I got this wide star tip. I'm a big fan of the wide star tip for frosting. The bag's kind of inside out here. So what you do is you just kind of hold it like an ice cream cone. This covers your hand. And you fill it up. Try to do that in the view of the camera here. You just scrape it in. I've seen specific soap frosting recipes where it gets firm really quick, but if you work at a really thick trace, kind of fluff it up with some air, it works just as good. I don't like having to make a separate tiny recipe just for frosting, but that's just me. Still filling up. Alrighty, take your bag, get it back to right side out, a little bit of boops on the outside. You twist it shut and you hold it very gently because if you squeeze it too hard, you're going to end up with a big old mess. So we're doing, make sure we're back in view here, we're going to do 9 little bloops because we got 9 little pot leaves. It's kind of just a delicate spin and you ploink it upward. Try to anticipate where you're going to be cutting so each little bloop is centered. That one's going to be kind of off center, I can tell already. Oh well. And I still ended up with some extra. I don't want to mess up my beautiful little bloops that I already did, so I'm just going to squeeze that out separately, let it set up, and that'll be just part of my soapy scraps. I don't waste anything. Well, try not to, you know. Alright, so there we go. The spin swirl is not too impressive right now. It just kind of looks kind of muddy. But when we cut it, there should be some really nice swirly action going around on the sides. Little brown bloop there, but that's okay. It's going to blend in. I'm going to pop these guys in the freezer so they set up and I can stick them on top of each little frosting dot.